Hey guys, welcome back. You would not believe the amount of money you can earn with this super easy side hustle in your sleep. Side hustles always get sold like they're a set it and forget it type of deal. Supposedly, you put in almost no effort up front and you get a lot of money back in return. But really, no business in the world works like that. The only way to make a lot of money by doing nothing is by inheriting it or winning the lottery. And I'm definitely not planning on paying my rent with either of those anytime soon. So how can you tell if your passive income idea actually has potential or if it's just another expensive experiment? I'll show you a checklist I use to pressure test any side hustle before committing to it. The truth is, passive income doesn't mean effortless. At least not in the beginning. Say you're thinking about offering online courses, for example. You'd need an outline, a curriculum, plan lessons, build sales page, and then find students. If you want to create content, you have to write scripts, film, edit, and post consistently long before you can even think about finding sponsors. Even with something like dropshipping, your suppliers and your buyers definitely aren't going to find themselves. I could go on, but the point is, passive income doesn't work like active income. With active income, you sell time for money. You work, you get paid. With passive income, you're trying to build something that earns you money even when you're not around. In order to get to that point though, you'll need to front load the effort first. Then, over time, you'll have to do less and less. The work never truly goes away, it just changes. Another example is renting out a house. Before being able to collect rent, you have to buy a house, prepare it, and find a tenant. But even afterwards, there will be things like maintenance, repairs, and property taxes that have to get done. The problem is, most people only find out about all the effort involved after they've already started. By then, it's either too late to stop, or you end up having to cut your losses and quit immediately. Luckily, this side hustle stress test helps you understand if your idea is worth pursuing before you even start. I'm going to use it to test one of the most popular side hustles out there right now, selling custom products online. I love watching reality TV shows like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, especially the part when entrepreneurs have to prove why their idea is worth investing in. Most people focus on how their product works, their story, or how passionate they are. But the ones that walk away with a deal work hard to prove something else: demand. If you want to make money selling online, this is something you'll need to think about too. To find out what to sell and who to sell to, you'll need to look up what's trending. Find niches that have demand but aren't filled with tons of competition. All to answer one important question: will anyone actually buy this? Successful sellers, though, take it a step even further. They test out their designs and products by setting up a minimum viability store. It's a simple store page with a few core products in it to see if they can generate interest. Think of it like selling pies at a farmer's market first before deciding to open up a bakery. If the pies sell out consistently, it's probably worth looking into a lease. If not, then that's feedback, not failure. You need to keep improving your idea until you have proof it's safe to take it to the next level. Imagine walking into the cereal aisle at a grocery store. Suddenly you see 5 versions of the same cereal you like. If they all look almost identical, odds are you'll just grab the cheapest one and call it a day. But if one clearly says high protein or gluten-free or made for kids, now your decision isn't about price, it's about the best fit for you. That's what a unique value proposition, or UVP, does. It gives people a clear reason to choose you over a competitor in a way that matters. Now let's go back to selling custom products online. Let's say you did the work to figure out your niche, you built your viable minimum store, you're even getting traffic, but still, no one's buying. That's your signal that whatever you're offering isn't compelling enough to buy compared to what's already out there. So you'll need to figure out why and do something about it. Maybe your designs are still too generic. Maybe your audience cares a lot about eco-friendly materials and you never mentioned it. Or maybe your listings just look exactly like everyone else's. If buyers can't instantly tell what makes you different, they default to price. And for the sake of your own profits, trust me, that is a race you do not want to win. So to find a real UVP, you'll need to look at 3 things: what your buyers actually want, what your business genuinely does well, and what your competitors clearly aren't offering. Where those things overlap is where you'll find your edge. Just remember, the more specific you are about who your product is for, the less you'll need to convince them to buy from you and not from anyone else. Like relationships, great business ideas also go through a honeymoon phase. In the beginning, you're full of energy and everything feels exciting. But over time, that novelty wears off and the work gets a lot more real. Selling online is no different. You start off inspired, creating designs and making listings on the fly, checking your store every 5 minutes to see if you got a sale. Then, if you're lucky, you either get busy answering emails, tracking orders, adjusting prices, or you're sitting around for a sale to come in and trying to figure out how to get more. Either way, at some point, what used to feel exciting will start to feel repetitive. And that's when a lot of people give up or burn out. Not because selling custom products online was a bad idea, but because for them, it wasn't sustainable. If your store is only going to work for you when you're sacrificing your time, sleep, or sanity, then it's definitely not going to last. You need to make sure to create something that can run even at your normal energy levels. Luckily, there's a few things you can do to help with that, like using tools that can help automate repetitive tasks, building systems to keep track of things instead of relying on memory, or carving out a set schedule to make sure you're not working all the time. Basically, anything that makes your life easier is a good choice to make. Because sustainability isn't about grinding harder, it's about staying consistent. Mike Tyson once said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face." Turns out that's not just great boxing advice, it's great business advice too. Because when you're selling custom products online, it's not always the things that you can control that affect whether you last or not. It's the things you can't. Maybe the fad your store was built around suddenly isn't a thing anymore. A competitor copied your idea and got a lot more attention for it. Or what if the platform you're selling on changes something and your traffic drops overnight? Even if all of that wasn't in your original plan, it's still something you might have to deal with. Here's what I know. The most successful sellers online learn how to pivot, not give up. They learn to expect change and train themselves to find solutions, whether that's updating their designs if trends change or someone copies them, or opening up a shop on another sales channel just to keep their options open. If you're gonna sell online, you'll need to learn to adapt, because the more flexible your business model is, the harder it'll be to break. You know how they say, plan for the worst, hope for the best? Well, when it comes to business, you really should be planning for the best too. Growth has a way of causing just as much chaos as failure. As an online seller, waking up to see 500 orders is pretty awesome. Waking up to 500 emails asking, "Where's my order?" Not so much. And if that sounds like a good problem to have, it really is. Until it starts affecting other parts of your business. Suddenly your quality starts to slip, you get overwhelmed, and your buyers start to notice. So before things get messy, build with scale in mind. Figure out what could cause you the most issues, and then what you can do to make it easier. Maybe it's choosing providers that can handle large volume orders right from the start, answering customer emails with pre-written responses, or even outsourcing simple tasks so you can focus on the work you actually like doing. As long as you're able to maintain that growth without losing what makes you unique, your side hustle has a better chance of not becoming a victim of its own success. Did you know it costs more to get a new customer than it does to keep one? Think about it. Ads cost money, content takes time, promotions eat into your margins. I mean, in a perfect world, buyers would just come to you without you having to do anything about it, right? Turns out that's not impossible. In fact, that's actually the goal. In order for that to happen though, you're gonna need loyal customers. Easier said than done, obviously. But when you're selling online, that means doing more than just trying to sell products. You also need to build trust. And that means doing things like following up with customers after a sale, offering incentives like discounts or promotions to get them to come back, or maybe even listing some personalized products or services when it counts. The less you can make someone's experience feel like a transaction, the more likely they are to come back without you having to try. Look, nobody likes to think about failing, but before you start dreaming about how much money you could make, ask yourself what it could cost you if things don't work out. Not just about the money, but also your time, energy, and even your relationships. Every side hustle carries risk. Your goal isn't to avoid it, it's to manage it. Let's say that in order to sell online, you have to order hundreds of products up front. Find somewhere to store them, invest in packaging, and ship orders out yourself. If nothing sells, that's going to be a pretty high bill to pay. That's why choosing a flexible business model matters. For example, instead of ordering hundreds of custom products upfront and hoping they sell, you could use print on demand, where items are only created and shipped after someone places an order. If something doesn't sell, you can adjust it without being stuck with unsold inventory. The same idea works for services too. Avoid high fixed costs in the beginning and always make sure to test before you invest. You're not trying to eliminate risk completely. You're just trying to make sure you're prepared for it. Now that we've come to the end of our stress test, it's time to look back at your answers honestly. If your side hustle survived most of the questions and left you with more confidence than fear, it's definitely worth exploring. But if it didn't, it might not be the best fit. And that's okay. The goal isn't to force an idea to work, it's to choose one that works for you and your budget. Without a financial plan for your costs, margins, and goals, you're still just guessing. That's why a well thought out budget will turn guessing into strategy.